today we're going to have a look at how you can use chords you already know to start playing along in a session straight away. So if you don't know what a session is, it's just basically an informal music session between people that are going to be playing Scottish or Irish traditional music. So in a session, generally a tune player is going to start playing a tune and they're going to tell you probably what the key is. And you're expected to just start playing along even though you probably haven't heard that tune before. Now if you're anything like me when I first started playing this music, it doesn't really make sense in your head how you could play along with a melody that you've never heard before. But the good news is it's actually way easier than you think to do this. I remember looking through YouTube when I first started playing this kind of guitar and there was basically nothing on how people were playing along with these tunes having not heard them before. So today we're going to break down how you can start using chords that you already know and start playing along with tunes straight away. So in this video we're just going to be looking at what you need to do chordally for a session. If you want to learn any of the strumming patterns that you need for almost any of the tune types, I've covered a lot of them on the channel before, so you can go and check them out if you want to learn strumming patterns. So the reason that companies are able to play along with a lot of Scottish and Irish tunes straight away is because most of the tunes follow the same chordal pattern. So we're going to look at tunes in major keys first, and this applies to all tune types, so jigs, reels, strathspeys, polkas, anything across the Scottish and Irish music spectrum. So bear in mind before we look at the chords as well that this is just the basic chords that you need. So you will see a lot of guitars playing either more chords or less chords or completely different chords than this, but if you want to just start playing along straight away, these are the chords that the tune is going to be suggesting that you play. So if we look at a major key first, we'll use the key of G for an example, and we'll play in 4/4 as if we were playing a reel. We would generally be going chord 1 for 2 bars in the key of G, that's going to be G. Then we would play chord 4 for 2 bars in the key of G, that's going to be C. Then we go back to G, chord 1, for another 2 bars. And then we go to chord 5, which in the key of G is D for 2 bars. So played at tempo, it would be like this. We're going to go G, So you may think that seems quite simple chordally, but the reality is most Celtic tunes are very simple chordally. The chords that they're suggesting are very basic, and it's really what gives us a lot of freedom to be creative with playing this kind of Celtic rhythm guitar. So the reason that I'm naming the chords as numbers as well is because it makes it much easier to transfer that chord structure into a different key. So if you've never heard chords spoken about in number form before, if you do a quick Google search, you'll find all the keys written out with all their chords numerically. So for the B part of a tune, all you're going to do is swap chord 4 and chord 1 around. So instead of a G, you're going to be playing a C and vice versa. So if we play it up to tempo, we're going to be going C for 2 bars, then to G, back to C, and then to D. Now if we move on to minor keys, they're even more simple chordally in Celtic music. Most minor tunes in Scottish and Irish music only suggest 2 chords. So in the key of A minor, for example, we'd only really need to play A minor and G throughout the majority of A minor tunes, regardless of what tune type it is, so jigs, reels, strathspeys, polkas, anything like that. So chordally, in the key of A minor for a reel again, all we'd really need to be doing is playing an A minor for 3 bars, then a G for 1 bar, then an A minor for 2 bars, and then a G for 2 bars. Or if we talk about it numerically again, we're going to be playing chord 1 for 3 bars, chord 7 for 1 bar, chord 1 for 2 bars, and chord 7 for 2 bars. So if we play through it now, it's going to be like this. A minor for 3 bars, into a G for a bar, A minor again, for 2 bars, and to a G. Chord 1, chord 7, chord 1, chord 7. Now you'll actually find in minor keys that the B part follows the same chordal pattern as the A part. So if you learn the first set of chords for the A part of a minor tune, you're already ready to play the B part of it. So if we take that to another key, B minor for example, we're just going to be playing chord 1, B minor, for 3 bars, to an A, back to B minor, into an A again. Okay, so you may be thinking to yourself, this seems really basic, the kind of chords that we're doing, but the reality is I would do that in a minor tune a lot, but I would just play it with different shapes. So instead of playing these shapes down here, I would play something like this with these shapes up here, where I'm playing the same chords on the same amount of bars and things like that, but just with different shapes, and it makes it sound a lot more polished. So I would be using shapes up here. Do this A for 3 bars, to a G, back to A, to the G. So this video was just for the basics, just to get you playing along in the session straight away. But if you are interested in me covering some, substitutions of chords and maybe other kind of things that I would do in a session to add more variety to my playing, you can let me know in the comments below. Okay, so just to recap what we've done here. In a major key, for any tune type, it's going to be super useful to you if you can learn the chordal numbers associated to the chords in each key. But if you don't want to learn them, you can get them up off the internet and you can use that as a sort of template for it. But in the A part of a tune, we're going to be playing chord 1 for 2 bars, then chord 4 for 2 bars, then chord 1 again for 2 bars, then chord 5 for 2 bars. Then in the B part, we're just swapping chord 1 and chord 4 around. So we're playing chord 4 for 2 bars at the start, then chord 1, then chord 4 for 2 bars, and then back to chord 5 for 2 bars. Now in a minor key, even more simple. So we're playing chord 1 for 3 bars, then chord 7 for 1 bar, then chord 1 for 2 bars, and then chord 7 for 2 bars. So let's quickly talk about a couple of general tips with session playing as well. Now, as you get more experience playing in a session, your ear is going to be able to pick out when the chord changes in a tune are. So you're not going to need to rely on the templates as much for what you're doing chordally. A useful thing to do actually is to just play chord 1 the whole way through a first time round a tune, and it'll give you a chance to hear the chord changes in it if you've never heard that tune before. A big tip that I can give you for playing in a session though is don't worry about what you're playing chordally too much. So what I mean by that is I will quite often play just chord 1 and chord 4 the whole way through a tune. I'll swap them around, so I'll do what we did in the B part of tunes where I swap chord 1 and chord 4 around, but I might never hit chord 5, and no one's going to bat an eye at you doing that. No one is, kind of watching you like a hawk, trying to make sure that you're hitting every single chord change that the tune is suggesting. The only thing that sometimes might raise an eyebrow is if you play chords out width of the key you're playing in. So to avoid that, the most helpful thing I can tell you to do is to learn what chords are in each key. So that may seem a little bit daunting to do, but I promise you it wouldn't take you that long to learn. You only really need to learn 6 chords in each key, and obviously the chords overlap. So in the key of A major, chord 4 is a D, but obviously you already know a D shape, so you already know chord 1 of D major. So if you'd like me to cover anything else about chords with Celtic guitar playing, let me know, or if you just want me to cover more topics to do with playing in sessions in general. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.